All right, how's it going, everyone? So exciting new purchase. I finally, I got the Rincon 3s in my hands. Billy has the other one. I didn't only buy one shoe. Ever heard of it? So just got these today, and I'm really excited to use them. So the plan for today in our my first review for these new shoes, because I did run in the Rincon 2s, and I think there's a few things I want to think about with these new Rincons, some of the drawbacks I think from the Rincon 2s, but I figured I just got them in hand, and some initial thoughts. So what better way to initially review a video, or initially review a shoe than to literally take you on the run for my first run wearing these shoes. So we'll catch you in a minute. Okay, first 20 steps in the shoe. Initial comparing to Rincon 2s. These are cushier for like first steps. I feel like with the Rincon 2s, it took me like a couple runs. Like I think I did a couple like 3-mile runs. So like anywhere between 6 to 10 miles, I started to sink into the shoe more. These definitely are a little bouncier out of the box. They're giving me very Mach 4-ish vibes, that layer of Pro-Fly in the Mach 4. I think this is also something we expect out of the Rincons, so that's good. But yeah, definitely bouncy already, which is cool. All right, so, well, if this isn't proof enough that I have just been vacationing and not running, I don't know what is. The plan was to talk about them during the run. I was catching my breath, so I'll catch you in a second. I'll tell you about the first run on the Rincons. Woo! Okay, I've caught my breath and my thoughts, so let's give it a go. So, Rincon 3s, released from Hoka, I believe, the 1st of August. Some people were getting on their hands on them a little earlier if you had contacts, stuff like that, but released beginning of August. They just got them in at my local running store, and I picked them up today. Took them out on a 4-miler, so I'll pop the Strava somewhere on the screen. So this is my first run in a couple weeks. I think I mixed up a couple easy runs, but mostly was just taking some time off before I start getting back into it. But was really excited to get my hands on these shoes, really pumped. And I have my Rincon 2s here just to kind of talk about just the logistics of the shoe. So initial things about the shoe. The midsole is a lot of the same as they had in the Rincon 2s. They made some slight changes to some of like the flexion points. They added some more along the bottom of the Rincon 3 compared to the Rincon 2, but the midsole largely is the same. They did say, and I've read it in a few places, that they changed up the compound that they used for the EVA in the Rincon 3s to help them last a little bit longer. It would be nice to know what that is, but they have not really confirmed too much about what it is that they made a difference to, but they did say that there is something different about the EVA midsole in the new Rincons. One of the other changes is they made the outsoles a little bit different. So they did add some rubber to the Rincon 3 outsole, and I have them both here. So you can see they added a little bit more up top, and it comes and wraps around a little bit further on the bottom. as well as just kind of a different like landing pad change. Like some of the shapes are a little bit different and it moves through the foot different. So obviously that outsole I think is a really big game changer. And just looking at this shoe, I mean my Rincon 2, I've put 120 miles ish in, and you can see how chewed up the foam is. But I can tell you that after my first run on the Rincon 2, you could see some of this peeling start to happen immediately, just because this exposed out, the exposed foam in this midsole definitely is contacting the ground very frequently. So even after my first, I think I did a 3-mile run for my first run in the Rincon 2s, and you could see some of this peeling start to happen already. Whereas with this first run, you could kind of see there's not any peeling anywhere. You could see that obviously it's you know, the dirt and stuff like that, but there's no peeling, so a little bit more even. I think this outsole change is going to really help this foam last quite a bit longer, which I'm sure that like pretty much everyone who's going to talk about this shoe is going to say. The other big change they did, okay, I'm going to say this is a small change. They did update the upper. Material wise, it feels like the same material. I don't know what they changed besides just like the pattern. So they have these cutouts in these ones kind of just to help the air get through, whereas on this they didn't have too much of that. They just had like some perforated holes. So different yet the same, I think. And I've always been a big fan of just a really simple upper on the Rincons, and you know, I mean, it's a good change. It felt good on my foot throughout the whole run. They also did make a change. They went for a lot thinner tongue here on the Rincon 3. So this feels like what I would say you'd see on more of like a racing style tongue. It's really thin, just a little bit of padding in some spots over the top of the foot. No issues with the laces or anything like that biting into my foot. No issues with the tongue moving about or getting underneath. Just some things I was trying to pay attention to on the run. A little bit thicker one on the Rincon 2, so that's just a minimal change, but I think that's something nice. And the laces are the same. So and then they got rid of this gigantic pull tab. Billy was very sad that they got rid of this huge one and they went for this string. If I'm being totally honest, aesthetic wise, like this is aesthetic. There's no trouble getting these shoes on at all. Like the heel counter in both of them, you have a little bit more down towards like the bottom of your Achilles, but like up top you have nothing really doing much, so it's easy to get your foot in the shoe. So it's like, it's aesthetic, like it's not doing anything. It's just kind of ridiculous. But you know, I appreciate that they kind of have their it's like a thing that they have, so you could tell that someone in the designing process, maybe they took it off and then they opted to put it back on just because it's like a flagship thing. Like, oh yeah, the Rincons have the pull tab. And then as far as the heel counter goes, so like the collar and everything, it's the same. There's no big difference. Feels like the same material on the inside. Just enough cushion. The lockdown felt good. I wasn't having any issues with my heel popping out of the shoe or anything like that. And that's always a good thing to note. So no big changes there. Like I was pretty happy with the ride of the Rincon, the feel of this upper, well, in general in the Rincon 2s too. Overall, like the ride and stuff for my first 4-mile run, I noted it in the beginning, definitely a lot bouncier out of the box. I felt like with the Rincon 2, it felt like a block of foam underneath my foot that was just like, I was just kind of platformed on top of it until I got some runs in. I sank into the shoe a little bit and then I started to feel that like that bouncy sensation, that energy return. Whereas this, like right out, even just like walking around in the shoe, I could feel like that little bit of bounce that I was like kind of already into the midsole a little bit. So I definitely really like that. You know, I had a couple like issues with just like some minimal hot spots and things like that with the Rincon 2s early on. Nothing like that with these, so that was nice. It was good. It's exactly what I expected. Like as far, I guess minimal detail, but like they added this like little swallowtail on here as well, which they started to introduce into like the Mach 4 has the swallowtail. The Carbon X2s have the swallowtail. So that's another like just thing. I don't know what it really does, but yeah. But so overall, like for me, and just to kind of give you an idea of where I use this shoe, you know, everyone's going to do something different with it. So for as a lightweight shoe, I generally will wear this shoe for like some shorter runs. If my legs are feeling really beaten, I just need a little bit less on foot, I'll pop these on even for like an easy recovery run. But more often than not, I'm using these for like up-tempo days where I'm really not getting into like, I'd say like steady states, track work that's really not getting really down into like the really fast stuff. So if I'm not doing like mile work, I'm doing stuff that's further at like slower than race pace, I'll keep these on just to give myself a little bit more cushion underfoot. So that's kind of where this fits into my rotation. I would just say, like, I guess to simplify it, it's like my up-tempo day shoe, where I'm not going and grabbing like a racing flat or grabbing my spikes as I'm prepping for a track race. Like, it's just an up-tempo shoe. Whereas like I have the 880s, I have the Cliftons, so the New Balance 880s, the Cliftons in my rotation as easy day shoes. The Rincon and the Mach 4 kind of fit into more of that like up-tempo day type shoe that I in my rotation. So I think that's an important key, is kind of having this shoe. If you want this to last longer, I feel like having it in a rotation is good. You can use it every day. I think it feels like that type of shoe. It's giving you a good amount of energy return, like the feel I would expect from an everyday trainer. But just based on its track record in the past, definitely not a shoe I'm gonna like throw on all the time, just because I know a lot of people will say that they feel like the foam or the midsoles in the Rincon 2, even the Rincon 1, were dying like towards that like 150 mile range, or at least, you know, like you can still use the shoe, but you can feel that it's kind of like past its climax. It's just kind of like, it just feels like it's just underfoot. It's not like exciting to run in anymore. It's not giving you a lot back. It's just blah, I guess, to say the least. Yeah, I think these changes, like, to kind of in summation, I think the changes are nice. I'd like to see them do a little bit more, just with all these other shoe companies doing a lot more interesting things with their midsoles and stuff like that. I'd really like to see Hoka start experimenting with some other stuff. Even just trying some different foams, even maybe just different combos. Maybe you still want an EVA, but you want to do something like a little different, just to help keep this foam, I don't know, I guess poppy longer would be cool. And as you see everyone start to do these things, you know, like Brooks has their DNA Flash, you have the Zoom X that Nike's got, Saucony's got their Power Run PB pellets, all this different stuff. And then, you know, even on, well, I guess Hoka has their Pro Fly material, but most of their shoes are running this EVA. So I think that would be something cool to see in the future. But this is, I'm excited I want to do an initial review of this one, because I think this is a shoe that really needs multiple, and with a lot of people, I imagine buying this shoe, it's something that you want to know is going to last a while, or at least get a better idea of how long the shoe is going to last you, how much it's going to be. You're going to be in the hole depending on how much mileage you're putting in. You don't want to be, you know, if you're putting in 50-mile weeks and this is your everyday shoe, and all of a sudden you're blowing through it every three or 4 weeks and having to buy a new pair, you know, that's something you probably want to know about. So I'm hoping to kind of have this shoe go. I'm going to like try to get it to 50. I know it will get there. We'll see how much time. As I'm getting back into my training, I'm not at the peak of my mileage. I'm just like starting to build it again. Get these back at 50. It would be awesome if I could get these back at 100, do another quick like update on how they're doing. But yeah, just figured, got them in my hands, got to run in them. Figured I'd share my thoughts. If you've got the shoe, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to, you know, if there's anything I didn't touch on that you want to hear more about, I will gladly talk about it more.